14 straight, 8 straight, right at the end of the regular season. They're 7 for 7 here in the postseason, and as a result, everything is just fine and dandy with Kobe and Shaq.
Well, Mark, Kobe and Shaq have been phenomenal, and their theme song has sort of been, one way or another, we're going to get you. Phil Jackson says they're playing the best basketball together they've ever played. Look at their numbers, almost identical, but it's not their numbers, it's their defense, it's their rebounds, their assists, their poise that has led to this remarkable record so far in the playoffs. And just look how well they have played. The #1 scoring team in the playoffs. Point differential almost at +12. Rebounding and defense at the championship level that they had last year. Marvin, I talked to Phil. He said, we're confident, we're rested, we have energy. We would love to steal that home court today.
But tonight, the Lakers are meeting up with their toughest test. The San Antonio Spurs have the best record in the NBA during the regular season. This is a team that is built around the best big man combination in the history of the NBA. And Tim Duncan and David Robinson have even raised their level several notches here in the playoffs.
Marv, the thing I love about these two guys is they bring out the best in each other, and they also bring out the best in their teammates. And they do it on both ends of the floor. The season averages in the playoffs, the playoff numbers are up. Both of them are playing great basketball. But they win with defense. And at home, their defense has been stifling. Look at the regular season and the record. Plus 15-point differential. They have not lost at home. Margin of victory +14. That's why the home court is so advantageous to this team. I think the pressure's on them to keep the home court today. But more importantly, the Lakers are coming here with a real swagger. They've got to dent that psyche, show that they can beat them here in the playoffs, Marv.
All right, so coming up, it's game #1 of this Western Conference Final Series. It is truly a heavyweight matchup. Welcome back to the River City, the 4th largest crowd ever at the Alamo Dome. On hand for the Los Angeles Lakers and the San Antonio Spurs. A look at the starting lineup. The Lakers with Horace Grant, Shaquille O'Neal, Rick Fox on the front line, and Kobe Bryant, Derek Fisher in the backcourt. Their usual starting lineup for the San Antonio Spurs. Up front, Tim Duncan, David Robinson, Danny Ferry, and on fire from downtown, Antonio Daniels for the injured Derek Anderson, and the veteran Terry Porter. Let's check in with Jim Gray.
All right, thank you very much, Marv. I spoke to Shaquille O'Neal. He has not been playful. He's been grumpy all week. He says the two very talented big men have the capability of slowing down one very talented big man. He emphasized, slow down. Nobody can stop me. He does know, however, if he's double teamed, he's going to kick the ball out to his teammates. He said, I expect them to make their shot so they cannot employ that strategy all game. Finally, I spoke to Horace Grant about this rivalry. And he said, you know, it's very difficult to hate the Spurs. There is no Bill Laimbeer out here. Marv?
All right, Jim. Yes, even Phil Jackson was telling us earlier it's hard to take verbal shots at the Spurs. You know that Phil would never do that. But he said there were just too many good guys involved.
Well, Marv, it's going to be interesting as we start this game. The nerves are on edge right now. What kind of execution, what kind of shooting will we get early?
And Shaquille O'Neal goes right to it over David Robinson.
A very positive sign for the Lakers. Shaq sometimes puts so much pressure on himself here at home in San Antonio that he has not played well here.
And here in San Antonio, the Spurs have won 4 of the last 5 against the Lakers. Wonderful shot by Robinson. That's 4 of the last 5 of the regular season. Overall, 6 of the last 7, including the sweep in the second round of the 1999 playoffs. 3-second violation is called by Joe Crawford, who's working with Ron Garrison and Joe Forte.
Well, interesting call. You know that the opponents have always lobbied in the playoffs against Shaq for dislodging and 3 seconds. Now, Phil has put his out now, his little shingle. He said, watch the zone that San Antonio plays. Let's see if they get an early illegal defense.
Horace Grant defending on Tim Duncan. You see Derek Fisher cheating over. Duncan hits on his first field goal attempt.
No surprises. You know they're going to go inside to both Duncan and Robinson. On the other end, it's been Shaquille O'Neal.
Rick Fox played by Danny Ferry. Horace Grant guarded by Tim Duncan. Here's Fox putting the move on Ferry, getting it to Shaq. The crowd enjoyed that one. Antonio Daniels, who's played well, coming on for the injured Derek Anderson. Kobe over to help, but Ferry kept it alive. Daniels hesitated, and then not able to hit from downtown. Antonio Daniels has shot well from beyond that three-point line after having his problems his first 3 years in the NBA, 28%.
I think the key word, though, Marv, you said hesitation, and when he hesitated, he was out of his rhythm.
Here's Bryant. 38-year-old Terry Porter gets it down there to Tim Duncan.
Got great low post position, and Porter, there was no pressure on the basketball. Saw right over the top of the defense. That was too easy if you're the Lakers.
Spurs with a 6-2 lead. Lakers trying to get Shaq involved early.
They'd like to get him off the lane right where he is right now. They feel like if he has to make shots and not layups or dunks, they will have a better chance to defend him.
And you saw the effectiveness of the two big men, David Robinson and Tim Duncan, squeezing Shaq out of the picture on that tip ball.
Now Robinson will take Shaq out on the floor and shoot that jump shot. That will be critical. Marv, I think David Robinson has to score 18-plus points a game in this series if the Spurs are going to win it.
Bryant lost it. So a shaky start here by the Lakers, who are being challenged for the first time in many weeks. Never did face a challenge in the postseason. Sacramento did have the lead in the fourth quarter last Sunday, but that was a 3-0 series at that point. A holding foul is called. The basket will not count.
The greatness of the Twin Towers. See, no pressure on the ball by Kobe Bryant. And you see Duncan, when he gets that deep, it is too late. Now Robinson's going to step out on the floor, use his quickness. He wants to bring Shaq away from the basket. That will open things up for his partner, Tim Duncan.
That foul called on Derek Fisher was trying to help out. Pass intended for Duncan. Now, you mentioned Shaq grew up here in San Antonio, started Cole High School, but he is seen as a villain here in San Antonio. In fact, in his recently released book entitled Shaq Talks Back, he complains about David Robinson's goody two-shoes image and says he'll never forget 13 years ago when Robinson brushed him off when he gave Shaq his autograph. Foul is called on Kobe. Offensive foul.
Boy, the excellent defense by Antonio Daniels. You got to stay in front of Kobe Bryant. Make him make jump shots. Look at him move his feet, get to the spot. That's 2 turnovers here early. Even when he broke loose, look at Duncan coming over to challenge that shot.
Robinson. Spurs with an 8-2 lead. We played 4 minutes. O'Neal able to get possession.
When you get it that deep, get out of the way. You see Shaq with a little smile on his face. That's the first spot, and a smile, Marv, you and I have seen in about 24 hours. Yesterday, we did not see that at all.
Robinson gets inside and then converts.
I'm sorry, Marv, they're going right at Shaquille. They said, you know what, you're going to play both ends of the floor. If you play Duncan, you're going to defend. If you play Robinson, we're going to try to tire you out.
Kobe Bryant. And last touch by Ferry.
If you want to keep your eye on Shaquille O'Neal, look at paint catches. That's the blue area in there. When he gets it in there, I don't care if it's 3 towers in there. You're not going to stop that.
Here's Bryant. Kobe off here at the start, coming off a playoff career high 48 game 4 against the Kings last Sunday. Bad pass off the dribble thrown by Porter. Bryant challenging Ferry. It counts. And the foul.
Danny Ferry, if he's going to take that foul, it looked like he was in between. Do I take the foul or do I try to get the offensive foul? And this indecision cost him. He's back. Right there, take the foul. And he tried to get over. Too late. 3-point play opportunity here now for Kobe. And again, when we talked to the Spurs yesterday, they said we've got to take away easy baskets of Shaq and Kobe. That's where they thrive. When they get to the rim, when they get to the free throw line, then it gets everybody else involved off that penetration.
Kobe Bryant has averaged in 3 games against San Antonio this season, just under 38 points per game, including a 43-point explosion back in December, despite the fact he was suffering with the flu.
Took 32 shots a game in those series, so you could see they really tried to load up on Shaq and make Kobe beat them.
Oh, beautiful second effort by Duncan after Grant was able to knock the ball free.
They asked Horace Grant, what is the most difficult thing about guarding Duncan? He said he has great footwork. Forget about how big he is. His footwork is deadly.
How about Horace as Derek Fisher fires and hits from downtown? Horace Grant already has had to guard Rasheed Wallace of Portland and Chris Webber of Sacramento. Now Tim Duncan. And a blocking foul. That's 2 on Fisher.
Well, he's played very well. They will miss him, and this is what you were talking about, Marv. You see Horace Grant, don't let his numbers fool you. That's not the value to his team. Trying to slow these big guys down so that Kobe and Shaq can win basketball games is what he does best. He's the ultimate team player, 3 championship rings.
Welcome back to San Antonio, Texas. As we may mention earlier, Shaquille O'Neal grew up here in the San Antonio area, starred at Robert G. Cole High School. And we happen to have vintage videotape of Shaq as a high school junior. Let's take a listen.
What's been the secret to Cole's success this year?
Well, the secret is me blocking shots and getting rebounds and making my shots well. That's the secret.
Yes, the same withdrawn Shaquille O'Neal that we know today from Cole High School. He led Cole to an amazing 68-1 record during his prep career, highlighted by a state title in 1989, his senior year at Cole.
You know, Mark, we had our production meeting last night, and we were going through this as Shaq was in the room, and he looked at that, got the biggest smile. That's the only time we saw him smile the entire day when he saw that little video. He still has that same inflection as his voice that he had as a young man.
Halfway through this opening quarter, Rick Fox with the steal. The Spurs have a 12-9 lead on the Lakers. 6 points apiece for Duncan and Robinson. Shaq has hit 2 of 3 from the field. Fisher lost it. Good play by Porter. It's a 3-on-2. Daniels kicks it out. Porter backs it up. Rick Fox coming off an outstanding defensive job in the Sacramento series against Peja Stojakovic. A little bit more active at the offensive end here in this first quarter. He was thinking all defense against the Kings.
That's a great point. I spoke to him before the game. He sort of feels like that he's going to have to do that in this series. You see, the last 2 possessions, he's been involved offensively. Phil Jackson recognizes that as well.
Duncan coming up short. Los Angeles Lakers finishing the season at 56-26, finishing up very strong. That's a wild shot, unusual shot for Shaquille O'Neal.
Now, Sean Elliott is in the game early. He's come in for Ferry because they've got to get him involved. They'll come back with Ferry, and then they'll give Antonio Daniels a rest. So Elliott will guard both Kobe and Fox in this series.
There's that footwork that you talked about. Tim Duncan with a beautiful move. So the Spurs now lead 14-9. Now Grant at the post. Fisher eluding Porter. Crowd looking for a foul on Grant, and then Fox thought he had Kobe along the baseline.
Mark, I've always felt in games like this, you get about 10 minutes of a lot of energy and stuff, then it gets down to execution. Now this is execution. Get the ball inside, let Tim Duncan take his time. Kobe was coming from the backside, but he was slow getting there, and Duncan was able to get that shot off. So Robinson's going to get a rest now. You bring in Malik Rose, he's going to bring you energy. Shaq immediately goes over to play Rose, so look for him to help on Duncan defensively.
And that was the 5th turnover by the Lakers. Now Grant off the San Antonio turnover. Bryant So Kobe goes glass. That's his second field goal. 14-11 San Antonio.
Turnovers could be a thing here right now because the Lakers have more speed and quickness, and they want to run. When we talked to Phil this morning, he said, we'd like to get the pace of the game up a little bit, not too much half court.
Rose gets it back to Duncan. It's a 3-second violation. This a matchup of the last two NBA championship teams. The Spurs winning in 1999. The Lakers taking the crown last season. Phil Jackson receiving quite a bit of attention here in San Antonio for the remark that he made referring to it as an asterisk championship. Fox draws the foul. Because that title came at a lockout shortened season. Phil said a statement was partially misrepresented. Said his comments were initially in a story about the upcoming 1999 season, the year he did not coach after leading the Bulls to 6 NBA championships. But he did make the reference to the asterisk.
You know, many series when Phil will do that, he'll throw it out there to try to get the opponent thinking about what he's saying, maybe what he's doing, take the focus off basketball. That's not going to work with the Spurs. It's a championship team. They're a poised team. They're an experienced team. So the gamesmanship, I don't think, will work against the Spurs maybe like it did against the Sacramento or Portland, Marv.
Well, and you notice the San Antonio players are not looking to answer back on some of the shots that have been thrown their way. Here's Porter for three, and rebounded by Kobe Bryant. David Robinson was asked the other day, what's the most intimidating aspect about Shaquille O'Neal? Fisher, yes, and the foul. Robinson said, I'm intimidated by his writing, referring to his recent book that was released.
Well, Derek Fisher has become that third scorer. Remember, last year it was Glenn Rice. Well, it has become Derek Fisher in the playoffs this year. Doing a nice job. He's averaging almost 14 points a game, giving him toughness, leadership. You know, there's a part of his game that gets lost with this team, Mark. He's not a real outspoken guy, but when he speaks, his teammates listen because he speaks with a lot of substance.
Avery Johnson has checked in for the first time. No, one of the Lakers feel that Derek Fisher is the barometer of this ball club. Antonio Bango's not able to hit. What he says always makes sense.
Right. The Spurs count so much on their three-point shooting. They've had about 4 looks at it early, have not got anything to go. They shoot 42% in the series. They got to start knocking in some of those open shots. The Lakers have to be happy. They're now tied.
The combination of Tim Duncan and David Robinson have combined for all 14 San Antonio points. Combined 7 of 10 from the field.
Well, they do it inside and outside, both with quickness. The drive by Robinson, the great footwork, the kiss off the glass by Duncan. Here's Robinson once again stepping out, hitting a little jump shot. And then Tim Duncan, that swooping move across the lane, the little finger roll. Then he steps out, a little whirling dervish jump hook off with the left hand off the glass. They've gotten his team off to a very good start, 7 of 10, but 0 of 4, 0 of 3 from the three-point line. Again, the Spurs 42% from behind that line in the playoffs. That's a big part of their offense. You know the Lakers know that. They're going to lock into those three-point shooters.
And during the regular season, San Antonio, the best three-point shooting team in the NBA. Game tied at 14, just under 3 to go in this first quarter. Shaq working on Rose.
Well, Malik Rose obviously has a lower center of gravity. Down with Shaq, so he's not going to be able to block his shot. And Shaq just took his time and rolled right off of him to the basket. Popovich's going to have to watch that matchup.
So 7 unanswered for the Lakers, who incidentally, as you saw, since David Robinson took a seat. Duncan. Horace Grant playing him well. Tim Duncan with a series of moves, but Horace kept forcing him out. Here's Kobe Bryant.
That's quickness, Marv, getting to the rim once again. That's a no-no for the Spurs. They do not want to give up layups to Kobe Bryant.
9 unanswered for the Lakers. They now lead 18-14. Oh, look out. Duncan is fouled. Foul on Grant. That is his first.
Now look at Malik Rose. His arm is on his waist. Normally with a big guy, it'll be up in his back. Shaq just takes his time, recognizes it, little bump there, and just rolls right off of him for a layup. And again, so you've got Shaq laying the ball in the basket, Kobe coming back with a layup. Very positive signs for the Lakers. They're starting to probe that defense. And again, when David Robinson sits down, they lose one of those shot blockers, and Duncan's back there by himself now.
Tim Duncan shooting only 62% in the postseason. That's about the same as the regular season. Well, you can log on to NBA.com after each playoff game for live coverage of the post-game press conferences and who will be the #1 pick in the 2001 NBA draft. Vote for your choice, all on NBA.com.
We spoke to Phil this morning, Marv, you and I, and he said, you know what, I won't mind putting Duncan to the line if he's struggling at the free throw line. So it's important for Duncan to make his free throws early so the Lakers don't go to that if the game is close.
Lakers have a 3-point lead. Here's Fox over Ferry. And Rose with those long arms, able to collar the rebound. Malik only 6'7", about 250 pounds, and defending on Shaquille at the other end. Off the steal. It's a 2-on-1. Fisher blocks it for Bryant.
Oh, what a play. Looked like he wanted to dunk it in the last minute, realized he was too far underneath the basket. Turnovers, though, when the Lakers get steals, they run out. It's something they didn't do in the regular season. Mark, they're leading the playoffs in steals, almost 10 a game.
And that steal leading to the fourth bucket by Kobe Bryant. Here's Sean Elliott. Derek Fisher hustling it down. 45 seconds remaining in this first quarter. Nice play broken up by Rose.
Whenever the Lakers can attack, this is what they want to do. They feel like they have better team speed. Fisher eyes right at Kobe, lays it up there. You see Kobe floating, just nicely kisses that ball off the basket, takes a little hard landing, but by my math, that's like 3 layups for Kobe here to start this game. All of a sudden, now you step out on the floor, you start shooting that jump shot, and your whole game opens up. So Shaq's starting to get a little bit of a rest, Fisher a rest, so both teams now in their benches.
Teron Lue, who has seen limited action in the postseason, has come on. Derek Fisher has 2 fouls. Here's Kobe. So Kobe Bryant has hit his last 5. He has 10 points.
So you get those layups, and that's exactly what happens. You step out, that basket starts looking mighty big.
Lakers have a 7-point lead. Avery Johnson penetrates. Beautiful move by Johnson.
You can see the Lakers. Look at the tempo. They're really trying to get this ball off the floor. They do not want to play against the set defense of the San Antonio Spurs.
And this in contrast to what we saw in the previous series against Sacramento, where the Lakers were looking to slow it down. Final seconds of the first. Kobe Bryant over Sean Elliott. Wow.
That's just too good. I mean, if you're going to make those kind of shots, it's going to be a long series. I mean, Kobe and Shaq both got off to a little bit of a slow start. They now have got it working. They lead by 7, and they are feeling mighty, mighty confident, Mark.
Kobe Bryant has hit his last 6. He has 12 points. Shaquille O'Neal with 6. The Lakers withstanding the early onslaught by San Antonio's Twin Towers. For the Los Angeles Lakers during the course of the regular season, there were many periods of adversity highlighted by the tension that was taking place between Shaq and Kobe. And now as you look back, that seems like a distant memory.
It's just a game. And I think our togetherness and our mental toughness will show through. Hopefully we won't need to be tested. But if worse comes to worse, we can always rely on what we've been through this season and how that could have pretty much divided every single team in the league, but instead it made us stronger and brought us closer together.
Amazing what winning can do, because Shaq and Kobe during the regular season were kind of sniping at each other, particularly Shaq through the media, and that has quieted down since Kobe came back from injury. First, Shaq had an opportunity to operate by himself, then Kobe, and it was all come together for the Lakers. Kobe Bryant, 7 straight.
7 turnovers now for San Antonio, 9 points for the Lakers off turnovers. That's the difference in this game now as we've gotten started. The Lakers have gotten back. They're swarming defensively, creating turnovers, and now running, and now San Antonio is struggling to get back.
Early timeout here at the start of the second quarter taken by Greg Popovich. The Lakers now lead at 26-17. Kobe Bryant in the midst of one of those unstoppable runs. Avery Johnson. Kobe's hit his last 7. He has 14 points. Shaquille O'Neal is back on the floor up front with Robert Horry comes on for the first time, and Rick Fox, Tyronn Lue, and Kobe Bryant in the backcourt. And here's Kobe. Way off this time.
You can see early in the game the jitters, they weren't getting good shots, they've settled down. What happens, Marv, you get rid of all that nervous energy, then you start playing ball, then the shooting starts to come back, and that's what's happened with the Lakers as well as getting some layups.
And Duncan tied up. Nice play by Shaquille O'Neal.
Now Shaq will play Duncan in certain stretches. And you can see he takes the challenge, moves his feet, steps over and reaches in, gets his hand on the basketball. Jump ball here. You'd expect Shaq to be able to control this tip. If he does, that's almost like another turnover. So the Spurs really are hurting themselves here by not getting shots at the basket.
San Antonio able to control. Johnson played by Lue. Gets the pick from Rose. Malik Rose.
Well, that would be big if he could step up there and shoot the ball because Shaq does not want to come out. You see Tyronn Lue is in the game against Avery Johnson. This is why Lue was on the roster to play against the quicker guards in the West when he comes off that bench.
Yes, the decision was Lue or J.R. Ryder. And Shaquille stepped out of bounds. Apparently a foul call on Shaq. That's his first. He was pushing out as he went baseline.
Well, he dipped that shoulder just enough, and Joey Crawford was right there on the spot. So you can see right now that they've watched 3 seconds. They've watched dislodging. So all eyes are on Shaq now in that paint.
Here's Rose again with the perimeter shot. We mentioned that during the course of this week, Shaquille O'Neal has not been his usual playful self at L.A. They've been referring to Shaq as the big grumpy. Robert Horry gets it down low. Knocked away by Rose, recovered by Fox. And he hits the 3. So Rick Fox with his first field goal.
That's how close it is. Looks like you got a turnover, maybe a layup. The ball goes loose. Fox hits the 3. Those are like 5-point swings during the course of the game.
Fox able to come up with that loose ball as the Spurs turn it over with Brian Shaw. Now Shaw and Bryant in the backcourt. Shaquille O'Neal is fouled. So Greg Popovich staying, buying some time with Malik Rose. And now David Robinson will make his return, and Tim Duncan will get a rest.
Question I have is with Duncan sitting, who's going to score for the Spurs? They're down 8. We better keep an eye on that scoreboard. But you can see the impact of David Robinson +5 when he was in the game, -13 on the bench. But the Spurs got to find a way to score against this Lakers defense right now, down 8.
Foul was called on Rose. So Kobe, after hitting 7 straight, has missed his last 2. Johnson on the run. Avery Johnson again able to penetrate, but Horry got it from behind. Here's Rose, and he's fouled.
Mr. Hustle, Malik Rose, it's the way he scores. He's going to try to get to the offensive boards. He's not a primary offensive player. Shaquille O'Neal is unhappy talking to Joey Crawford, probably about that one dislodging foul that happened about 2 minutes ago. Greg Popovich pleading his cause as well, but interesting now as this thing sort of sort themselves out. Now we're going to start finding out what these coaches want to do in their matchups.
And the foul was called on Robert Horry. Well, Doug, as you well know, Weakest Link has captured the imagination of America. Monday it moves to its new time, Weakest Link. Monday at 9, 8 Central, right here on NBC. Now next year, I know you'll be watching a lot of videotapes next season where you'll be taping Weakest Link, I would think. Here's Fox. And the Spurs did not get back.
Well, right now the weakest link for the Spurs is their transition defense. That's a touchdown pass off a free throw. That can't happen.
Lakers up by 8. 3 minutes gone by in the second. Antonio Daniels. Horry got a piece of it.
Well, they really need Antonio Daniels. He gave them such a spark. In that Minnesota series, he came into the deciding game, hit 4 big three-point shots. When he started in the Dallas series, numbers getting up and up. Held Michael Finley 1 of 17 in his last game.
Robert Horry has hit the 3 against the Spurs during the regular season. They split the 4 games in the regular season, each winning a game on the visitors' court. Here's Curry from downtown. That's his first shot of the night.
What a positive sign. Finally they get a 3 to go, but more importantly, Duncan is getting a rest, and they've cut into that lead.
The Spurs within 3. 8 minutes to go in the half. 3-second violation. So the ball back to San Antonio.
So that's the Spurs defense. Fox thinks he's got a man beat. David Robinson comes over to help, but Danny Ferry, from an unsung hero, buried the 3. Spurs within 3.
Jim Gray back in San Antonio. Of course, the Spurs are missing one of their starters, Derek Anderson. He was hurt in the Dallas series when Juwan Howard undercut him. He's now returned to practice. He was out shooting before the game, shooting pretty well. It was estimated that he would be out for 3 to 6 weeks. Derek, how's your strokes coming along, and do you feel as though you'll be ready to return for Game 3 in this series?
Well, I can't put that much pressure on myself, but I got everything back now. I feel great. Now it's just a matter of my body healing right, and we'll see what happens.
What is it you're most afraid of, the contact?
I think so. I think, the way I play is all out hard, and if I go to dunk, we'll see what happens.
Now, you would be the man who would be guarding Kobe Bryant. He has 14 points. What would you be doing differently on Kobe right now?
Well, basically, I would be a little more taller than Antonio. Plus, I would be going back at him on the other end. So I think it'd be making him a little tighter, and some of his shots might not go in.
All right, Derek, well, let's get back to the game. We look forward to seeing you later in the series. Feel better.
Thanks a lot.
Marv?
All right, thank you, Jim. David Robinson now has 8 points. But you look back at the 3 games of the regular season that Kobe Bryant played against San Antonio. He averaged close to 38 points per game with Derek Anderson in the lineup, but still Greg Popovich would prefer to have Anderson matched up with Bryant. Here's Shaq with a facial.
That's why you've got to try to keep him from catching that ball in the lane. That was just a beautiful pass right over the arms of David Robinson. And Shaq, once again, with that powerful finish. Those are the kind of plays that demoralize your defense.
Robinson. Back comes Fisher. Fisher and Bryant and Shaw in a 3-guard setup. Kobe going right at the Spurs. He went at 3 San Antonio Spurs.
Well, Kobe is such a great player, but you've got to try to shut down those driving lanes. When he gets that rim like that, your whole defense is compromised. And Marv Avery Johnson, when things got tough, Greg Popovich went to the little general. This is a guy who's still a major part of this team, one of their leaders, and he came right into the game and has given him a big, big lift.
Avery's hit 3 out of 4. That was the case in the game against Dallas when Derek Anderson went down. That's a 3-pointer for Robert Horry. Greg Popovich called the timeout after Juwan Howard had made contact with Anderson. He felt his team was depressed. He said, hey, you got to get by this. We have to win this game. And he put Avery Johnson on the floor, and things turned around.
Avery that time with a tough pass, and Robert Horry doing a nice job circling and then stepping out on the floor looking for that 3. Had a great little quote in the paper today. I don't know who said, they said Robert Horry loves to shoot in Texas. Well, he hits a big 3 here, and he's made his mark early.
Timeout is called with 5:51 remaining first half.
The Lakers lead by 6, and they have done a great job of taking advantage of their schedule. It is broken just right. April 8th, the last road game at Minnesota for the Lakers. All the yellow is home. You see how long they were home. And then continuing in the playoffs, they've been on the road only 8 days of the last 41. Unlike my partner and best friend who's been only at home, Marv, 33 of the last 41 days. So,
Doug, it's reached the point I am now dialing 9 on my home phone. But the Lakers were able to take advantage of a very favorable schedule. They finished the regular season winning the last 7 straight in the postseason. As we mentioned right at the start, the last loss was April the 1st, losing at home to the Knicks 79-78. Since then, 15 straight wins. Steve Kerr has checked in for the first time. Duncan, not able to hit. And Robert Horry on that loose ball.
Well, you know Steve Kerr's in the game to space that floor and shoot that three. You know that Phil Jackson said, don't leave him.
Kobe Bryant off the ball fake. I think he was surprised he was able to get that deep. And then fouled by David Robinson.
Kobe is really getting a lot of dribble penetration into that lane in this first half. I'm sure when Greg Popovich goes in at halftime, they're going to talk about what they're going to have to do to try to keep this great player in front of them. He could live with some jump shots. When he breaks your defense down, now you put the pressure on Robinson and Duncan to step up, and that's when they get in foul trouble.
We mentioned Kobe has certainly enjoyed playing against the Spurs, 32, 43, and 39, averaging just under 38 per game. Had a career playoff high 48 last week in Sacramento. Following a difficult week, Kobe says his wife, Vanessa, is fine. You recall Kobe returned to L.A. from Sacramento last weekend to be with his wife, who had taken ill. And then said after the game that was the most fun he had playing basketball. Beautiful shot by Antonio Daniels.
So you can see the Spurs are trying to get Shaq involved in a lot of screen rows, with Robinson being able to step out and shoot it. If Shaq doesn't help, you see him get to the basket like Daniels did there to get that layup, although it was a tough shot.
O'Neal with a deep jump hook, rebounded by Horry. Robert Horry has come on and done a nice job. Here's Horry, nowhere to go. That would have been a travel had he landed. It's a 3-on-2 for San Antonio. Johnson, Duncan, able to keep it alive. We're down to 4.5 remaining in this first half. Game 1 of the Western Conference Final Series. Last touched by Horry, so the Spurs will have 14 on the 24.
Keep your eye on Duncan now. When he goes to that baseline and spins, the Lakers are running a guy in from behind him. Tim's got to be very aware of that. He's going to turn that basketball over because they're running in on that spin and trying to knock it loose.
Duncan from Daniels, one count, a pushing foul. Daniels shoving Horry.
Well, the Spurs upset feeling it was a very late whistle. It looked like Antonio Daniels had dropped that pass off and was the defender in the dotted area. He steps up, takes the charge. There was a late whistle. I think that the Spurs were unhappy about more than the fact that it was a foul.
Lakers back in possession. They're up by 5. Brian Shaw posting Duncan over for the rejection.
What a great security blanket. You're Steve Kerr, you're back there, you're getting posted, and the minute you spin, here comes one of the best defensive players in the league, says, come over, and he's going to help you. And that's what Duncan and Robinson do. They protect their teammates. That's why they're so valuable and why their defense is so good.
Timeout has been called by the Lakers. 4:01 to go. First half.
That's beautiful.
That was Jim Gray. Always carried in my pocket. For those who may not have recognized Jim.
Does that get you in places or keep you out of places?
Yeah, the latter, yes. Shaquille O'Neal now has 10 points. And the Lakers with a 41-34 lead. Three and a half remaining in the first half. Here's Horace Grant, who just checked back in. Harry Porter is back. Porter and Kerr in the backcourt. Elliott up front with Robinson and Duncan.
Mark, Sean Elliott really's got to give this team something. A nice play, nice penetration.
And tipped home by Robinson.
But with Derek Anderson out, Sean Elliott has got to be aggressive. Now, he can only play 6 or 7 minute spurts, but when he comes in, he has got to be a positive for this team.
Phil Jackson was looking for an offensive interference on that tip. And it's a traveling violation.
The nice pass from Sean Elliott. You see the ball going around the rim. Ball hanging up on the rim. Looked like it was trying to fall out of the cylinder. David Robinson gets a close call there. A very beneficial call for the San Antonio Spurs as they're trying to claw back into this game. They dug themselves a hole when he was resting. He's trying to get them back even by halftime.
Lakers 41, Spurs 36. Game 2 of this series Monday night here in San Antonio. Then the scene will shift to Los Angeles. Duncan tried to go last, that time slightly off. They'll play in Los Angeles next Friday night here on NBC. Game 4 a week from tomorrow, Sunday, May 27 on NBC. And a reach-in foul on Kerr.
Well, see, Phil Jackson likes Steve Kerr a lot. He loved him when he played for the Bulls, but every time he's come in the game, he's tried to post him up, that time with Kobe Bryant. So matchups are vital. Steve Kerr's a tough, feisty guy, but it's tough for him to play against Kobe at 6'7" on that low block.
They've maintained a close relationship. Shaq getting inside. Last year during the playoffs, Phil Jackson sent an email to Steve Kerr. Would you like 2 tickets to the finals? Is my guess. The playoffs were still going on. All right, here's Terry Porter. And the Lakers now lead 43-38.
Well, they needed that. Once again, Terry Porter missed a couple of easy shots early in the game. We know that he's a playoff-tested veteran and has hit big shots in his career.
Terry Porter going to the finals on 2 occasions as a member of the Portland Trail Blazers. Fisher for 3. Yes. Derek Fisher with his second from downtown. He has 8 points.
How big has he been since he has come back?
Sean Elliott not able to provide offense. Derek Fisher missed the first 62 games of the regular season. Shaq with the bucket.
Against this tough defense, but Shaq is in the teeth of that defense and has been scoring pretty much at will in there.
Shaquille able to complete the 3-point play. That's his first trip to the line. That's foul called on Robinson, his second. And the Lakers have opened up an 11-point lead. It's their biggest lead of the game. We're down to 1 minute remaining of the half. Nice fake by Duncan.
Horst has got to stay down. Duncan right now is not confident with that outside shot. You got to make him shoot the jumper rather than get him to dunk.
Tim Duncan has 11. Lakers up by 9. Bryant. Curry with room for 3. Good job by Bryant going to the boards to help out. Here's Kobe taking all the way, able to find O'Neal.
See, also it's a 2-for-1 possession. The 3 you missed by Ferry. Now he shoots it quickly. Kobe drives it down. They get a layup. They're going to get the ball back. You get a stop here. That could be a big little possession, a little change right there for the Lakers to finish on a very, very positive note.
Big first half for Shaquille O'Neal. He has 17 points. After it appeared the Spurs were doing a nice job against him. Robinson is fouled. He'll go to the line. Foul on Grant. That's his second.
Well, I talked in the open that these 2 guys, Kobe and Shaq, are not only playing phenomenal basketball, but really the best basketball they've ever played together in their career. And Kobe, look how deep he drove that basketball. All Shaq has to do is have his hands ready, catch it, and lay the ball in the basket. So as we look at this first half, Greg Popovich is going to talk about what are we going to do with the penetration of Kobe Bryant here. He's breaking our defense down, and then Shaq getting that ball so deep. So the 1-2 punch has been phenomenal here in the first half. 17 apiece
for Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. You see the rest of the team just 6 of 15 for 17 points. So they have accounted for 34 of the Lakers' 51 points. Now Duncan will sit down with 9 3/10 seconds remaining in this first half. 11 for Duncan, 11 for Robinson.
Marv, what the Lakers love to do is they love to isolate Kobe Bryant at the top of the floor. They have 3 3-point shooters with them and Shaq. So if anybody helps, somebody he'll be freed for a three-point shot. If not, he'll get to the basket.
Final seconds. Here's Kobe with the runner. So it's a 9-point game at the half here at the Alamo Dome. Biggest crowd of the NBA season turning out. Yep. Better than 36,000 here in the River City. And the Lakers have a 51-42 lead on the Spurs. Let's go to Jim Gray and Kobe Bryant.
All right, thank you very much, Marv. 17 points for Kobe Bryant. I know you were disappointed with that last one right there, but why were you able to get to the basket so easily against the Spurs here in the first half?
Well, I was just taking my time. Just moving the basketball, moving the defense a little bit, and, you know, when you do that, cracks start opening up.
What concerns, if any, do you have for the second half?
Well, they got a lot of good looks. You know, fortunate for us, the shots weren't falling, but in the second half, we can't count on that.
All right, Kobe, good luck in the second half. Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, back to you, Mark.
All right, thanks, Jim. So 17 apiece for Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal. David Robinson has 12. Tim Duncan with 11. And the Lakers. Welcome back to San Antonio. Marv Albert, Doug Collins, Jim Gray. Lakers with a 51-42 lead on the Spurs as we head to the second half. Doug, let's get back to the Vince Carter situation. The guys were discussing it at halftime. From the coaching point of view, if you had a player wanted to attend graduation ceremony out of town in the morning, come back and then play a 7th and deciding game of a playoff series, how would you react to that?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't like it. The thing I respect about Vince is he got his education. He went back and he got the degree. What he's done now is make a choice to be there. What I think he's done is he's put the pressure on himself to perform. This cannot be used as an excuse like, well, if I don't play well, it's because I was down there. Nobody is going to let him get away with that. So he's put himself under the gun to perform. So if you're Lenny Wilkins and your teammates, you just have to look at him and say, you've made that choice. Now we got to see what you got here this afternoon for us.
I like Larry Brown's reaction. Larry, of course, a Tar Heel, but he applauded the move by Vince Carter. I would think that Larry would also like to see Vince remain in Chapel Hill for a graduation party later in the day.
Well, the question is, I mean, I'm sure he's got a charter flight, but what happens if there's weather problems and stuff and you end up missing the game? I mean, you put yourself in a tough situation. Plus, Toronto is in there tonight preparing. They could be watching tape. Who knows? They might have a game day shoot-around tomorrow. So it's more than just playing the game. It's being with your teammates, looking at each other's eyes and saying, you know what? We win. We go into the Eastern Conference Finals, someplace this organization has never been.
All right, third quarter underway here at the Alamo Dome. In the first half, the Lakers 51% from the field. The Spurs at 49. Here's Duncan. The high point man. Shaquille O'Neal, 17. Kobe Bryant with 17. David Robinson leading the Spurs with 12. And Tim Duncan has 11. Here's Shaq.
Shaq has been terrific. How about Kobe and Shaq now have 36, the Twin Towers 23. It's a difference of 11 points in the game. So those two guys have outscored Duncan and Robinson by 13 right now. That's the big difference. Who's going to give the Spurs some offense?
Robinson has turned back the combination of Grant and O'Neal, and then a foul, a pushing foul, charged to Robinson. So that's his third personal. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, Marv, I spoke to Greg Popovich, the Spurs coach, at halftime. He said we've got to be much more aggressive on Shaq in the post. We've got to deny the pass, not allow him to get to his spot, and our doubles are not quick enough. By the time he's caught the ball, we're late. As far as Kobe going to the hole, he says it wasn't the game plan to allow him to continue to drive. I don't know what we're going to do in the middle of the game to figure it out, but we got to do something. He's just been way too effective and continues to be.
What a move by Kobe Bryant, able to spin his way off Antonio Daniels.
Well, not a good sign for the start of this third period for the Spurs. Duncan misses an easy shot, and Kobe and Shaq with easy scores.
Very able to wrestle that rebound free, and a foul is called.
Now, Kobe makes this move on the baseline. Normally, you do not see this. This is a 6'7" guard, and what they want to do is spin him to the big guy. Here comes one of the big guys, then both of them come over. And how about this for just tremendous offense? Kobe Bryant right in the face of both David Robinson and Tim Duncan. So this building is very, very quiet right now, Marv. It was so loud. Now, all of a sudden, the Spurs are going to have to get them excited once again.
Well, the Spurs have to hit some shots. They've opened up cold here in the third quarter. Antonio Daniels now 2 for 6 from the field. Lakers up by 13 points. And looking to add to that. And Derek Fisher does. His third three. And Greg Popovich wants to talk it over. Biggest lead of the night. Lakers by 16. The Spurs take a timeout.
The Lakers shooting 28% in the 7 playoff games today. They are 5 of 7. The difference in the game, inside, outside. The Spurs only 1 of 7. Somebody's got to make a shot.
Welcome back to San Antonio, and the Spurs are struggling 0 for 5 from the field in this third quarter.
Well, you see the start of Duncan and Robinson. The first 7 minutes of the game, they did a terrific job. Since then, only 3 of 12, and quietly, Horace Grant has done a great job on Tim Duncan. He's keeping him out of the lane, forcing him to take tough shots. And then on the flip side of that, the toughest 1-2 combination inside outside in the NBA. Look how balanced they were to start the playoffs. Look tonight, both of them 19, they have 38. Marv, I felt that if they were able to get 60 or more, the Spurs would have a very difficult time being able to make up that offense, and they're on that pace right now.
7-0 run on the Lakers at the start of this third quarter. Antonio Daniels. Tim Duncan gets to the 24. Here's Danny Ferry for 3.
Well, a second shot finally, and Danny Ferry knocks down a big shot. Now, the big thing for San Antonio, they cannot panic. There's still a ton of time, but they got to do it with their defense, Mark. That's their calling card. They've got to stop the Lakers.
Kobe Bryant able to whip by again.
Wow. Wow. Doesn't Kobe know those Duncan and Robinson back there? I mean, that was with the left hand.
21 for Kobe. Jim Gray telling us that he overheard Greg Popovich telling his team, hey, you're getting good shots, got to hang in there. Obviously not looking to get on his club as they have their difficulties here at the start of the third quarter. Fox called for that foul.
Well, Marvin, now's not the time to beat your team up as you're struggling. You see the little handoff there, and no help, just the quickness of Kobe turns the corner on David Robinson. Here comes Duncan a little too late. But it's interesting with the matchups. Kobe Bryant is playing Terry Porter and really pressuring the ball. Fisher is playing Daniels and chasing him around the screen. That matchup has been very effective for the Lakers.
Duncan met by the double. Here's Porter for 3.
Now this could open things up. Back-to-back threes. If you're going to help out, somebody's going to make shots. They've made them all season long. They have to feel if they keep getting those shots, they'll eventually go down.
A couple of threes by the Spurs, so they're down by 12. Kobe. Good box out by Robinson to keep Grant away. Duncan lost it. Fisher with the steal.
Now Derek Fisher right back in that passing lane, digging that ball out.
Grant sets the screen. And Joe Crawford with the whistle, a pushing foul. It's called on San Antonio. Duncan called for his first.
See, Marv, in this game, I've seen the Lakers run more screen roll with Kobe than I normally see. So they've gone a little bit out of that triangle, and Kobe is really penetrating off those screens. And the Spurs have had no answer right now to keep him out of the lane.
Back comes Porter. Porter and Daniels in the backcourt. Robinson up front with Duncan and Ferry. Starting lineup on the floor for the Spurs. Porter again from downtown. Bryant running at him and then hitting down court, looking for that long lead. Jack draws the double, but a beautiful pass to Fox.
Now remember when Kobe did not play one of the games in San Antonio here, the Lakers had 7 guys in double figures won, and Shaq had 7 assists in that game.
Kobe Bryant.
Kobe Bryant right now is playing at a different level. I've never seen him play this well. He was great last year, but he's playing on both ends. So that little break he took in the season, physically and emotionally, really recharged him.
23 points for Kobe. David Robinson on a pick and roll. Lakers not reacting. Lakers lead it though, 64-50.
See, what the Lakers have done, Marv, is they've got the Spurs on the move defensively now. They're not allowing them to sit back in there. And as a result, all that movement is creating all kinds of easy shots.
5 minutes gone by in the third quarter. And Antonio Daniels fouled before the shot attempt.
The electric Kobe Bryant. They're trying to hold mercury in your hand, Marv. This guy right now, coming from out of bounds, picking up the loose ball, and just using his speed and quickness. Remember now, this guy's only 22 years old. Most pressure you can be in, and he handles it like a champ.
Well, he has had the poise ever since he entered the NBA. Perhaps a little too much confidence. His first and second year in the league. Tim Duncan going glass. So Duncan has 13, but if he did not have that kind of confidence, he would not be seeing the player we're seeing today.
Absolutely. Now, Tim Duncan's got to go to work here now, Mark. Horace Grant has 4 fouls. He's got to try to find his offensive game.
Kobe thought he was fouled. O'Neal was by Ferry.
How about in the first half, Shaquille O'Neal only 1 free throw attempt. That tells you that he wasn't posting up in there a lot and standing. Everything he was doing was moving, so it was very difficult for the Spurs to take fouls if they needed it. That's the first time really they've been able to wrap him up inside, and that was off an offensive rebound.
Shaq 1 for 1 from the line. Second round series against the Sacramento Kings. Averaged 33 points, 17 rebounds, following up on the 27 and just under 16 against Portland. And solid performance here this evening. He's now 3 for 3 from the line and has 21 points.
Mark, how about that Sacramento series? Those first 2 games, Shaq gets 87. They go to Sacramento, they slow him down a little bit, and Kobe gets 84.
All right, here's Robinson. So the Lakers with a 66-52 lead.
Now is when you'll see them be patient. And now you'll see them take their time to free up open shooters just like that.
Eric Fisher has hit the 3 from downtown. Avery Johnson is back. Johnson in the backcourt with Daniels. Duncan working on Ori. It's not been a sharp game for Tim Duncan.
Well, they're running guys at him when he's spinning, and Shaq came over to challenge that shot, so he's not got a lot of those easy baskets that he got to start the game.
Shaq is stopped. Good play by Duncan, although O'Neal thought he was fouled. Daniels for 3. Daniels from downtown to cut it to 11, and the Lakers take a timeout.
As great as the Lakers have played, the Spurs are still in striking distance. With the way they shoot the 3-point shot, they can get back in this game after really struggling. They've hit 3 threes in this period. Back to an 11-point lead, but again, their defense has got to stop the Lakers.
For the NBA's best 3-point shooting team, a slow start, but they have come on. They've hit 3 of the last 4 from downtown.
Well, that's why they can get back in this game, because they can make it up with this 3-point shooting. If they're going to continue to really go back and help on Duncan, that's going to become a vital part of their comeback. They're now starting to get some good shots. They're settling down. They're within 11. And you can see what they did all season long, and then the playoffs. You got 5 guys almost shooting 40% or better, so it is there for them. But again, do they have the answers to slow down Kobe and Shaq? Those guys have been unstoppable here through the middle of the third period.
Well, the Lakers have led by as many as 16 on 2 occasions here in the third quarter. Coming up on 5 minutes remaining of the third, Kobe Bryant. Antonio Daniels, met by Rick Fox on the switch. Avery Johnson Here's Daniels. Yes. And the foul. And Antonio Daniels has come to life, although he comes up hobbling after that shot.
He is so important to this team. You know, Mark, we've talked about it. He's hit the big three. That's the guard Kobe, but this is a nice little dribble penetration, little lean-in shot, and Fox with a little hand in the back said I didn't touch him, but he did get the little push and the foul. So now an opportunity for a three-point play, and all of a sudden they're right back to within 8. Mark, we still have almost 5 minutes to go in this period. If you're San Antonio, so look, if we can cut this down to 4, we're in great shape going into the 4th period. Our defense is what we win with. We count on ourselves to be able to stop people here.
Yes, San Antonio first a defensive team. They held opponents to 88 points and 41% shooting during the regular season. Fox lost it. Ferry gets to it. That was Pushkin. Backcourt violation. Duncan getting position on Ori. Here comes Duncan. Rejected. Ori and Fox combining to stop Duncan. Bryant with the head fake. Ferry knew he had no shot to the basket count.
Yes.
Yes, it does. And the foul.
See, greatness is greedy. See, Kobe got fouled, and he did not give up on the play. He heard that whistle, and he said, I'm going to get the ball to the basket. Now, you got to have some luck, but no question about it. Watch this. There's the pull down, and he's going, I'm going to finish it. And he gets the three-point play opportunity. Great players do extraordinary things, especially in the playoffs. That's when you become a star.
And that was an effective foul by Danny Ferry, which normally would prevent the shot.
How about how plays determine games? Duncan scores there, it's a 6-point game. Ori sort of surprised him, blocks it. 3-point play, now it's back to 11. They're playing uphill the entire game.
And Kobe with 9 of his 26 here in the 3rd. Lakers by 11. Johnson. Come the Lakers.
Remember now, Malik Rose in the game when David Robinson set in the first half. That's what happened.
Oh, Duncan with the block. Shaq right back and the foul.
The Spurs were outscored 15-3 with Robinson on the bench in the first half. Immediately, Malik Rose is caught with Shaquille. Duncan has to come over. The second effort play by Shaquille O'Neal. And these are the kind of plays that ignite Shaquille. When he gets easy scores, they have not made him struggle today at all. It's been easy for him, and it's taken a lot of the burden off of him being at home.
And he's doing the job at the line. 4 for 4 at the line of the Sacramento series. Only 29 of 59. He was under 50%. Malik Rose hit a jumper earlier.
See, Avery Johnson's not a three-point shooter, and Malik Rose is going to have a tough time trying to play Shaquille O'Neal, and Malik is going to have to make jump shots. So right now, Greg Popovich is going to have to decide, am I going to get David Robinson back in the game? If I leave him down too long, I might dig myself such a hole that a fresh David Robinson's not even going to make a difference. But Shaq goes right to the front of the rim, just catches the ball in traffic. You see Malik Rose takes the foul, and Shaq goes to the line. But Greg Popovich's got a big decision. Obviously, David Robinson needs a rest, and he is sat down. His team has gotten themselves in disaster.
And that's the 3rd foul on Malik Rose. Well, Shaq missing for the first time. Now, he picked it up during the regular season after he came back from the injury after the All-Star break. In the playoffs, all told, he's just under 54%. We were talking about the grumpiness of Shaquille O'Neal throughout the week. Phil Jackson said that Shaq's changed demeanor relates to a sense of determination. Now, he felt slighted finishing 3rd in the MVP voting. I don't think there can be any quarrel about that MVP vote. Shaq did not have a strong first half of the season by Shaq's standards. Duncan able to use the glass, but Doug, he feels he should have finished in front of Tim Duncan. Duncan was 2nd, Shaquille 3rd behind Allen Iverson. Tim Duncan said, Shaq can have my votes.
Well, you know what I think, Marv? I think a lot of the voters got a little bit turned off by what the Lakers went through early in the year. Now, Shaq has been the most dominant player in the game since the All-Star break, no question. But that was not the case to start the season. Once again, Kobe Bryant just backs the smaller player down and shoots over him. I don't think there's any question right now who the most dominant player in the NBA is. And his sidekick probably would get second in that balloting right now.
And he finished, eighth or ninth? But that's because of the impressions that were being given out by what was taking place between the two and Phil Jackson in the mix. But the way these two have come on in the second half and in the playoffs, yes, if you voted now, it would be a 1-2 situation.
Yes.
So Duncan to the line. Robert Horry called for the foul. Reminder, tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern for a special 1-hour pregame show right here on NBC, preceding 2 Game 7 matchups. First up, Jamal Mashburn and those surprising Charlotte Hornets going up against the Big Three, Big Dog, and Sam Cassell, who came up with a huge game the other night, Ray Allen and the Bucks. And then it's been a wild series between the Raptors and Sixers. Vince Carter and Allen Iverson continually playing a game of can you top this? So who will win that all-important Game 7? That's following them on and coming at 2 Eastern on NBC. And then Monday night, Lakers and Spurs in Game 2 on TNT from the Alamo Dome right here in San Antonio. 36,000 have turned out. A foul is called. It's on Daniels. That's his third. This is the 4th largest crowd ever here at the Alamo Dome. It's the biggest crowd of the season in the NBA. The largest crowd ever here, 39,000 on 2 occasions. Games 1 and 2 of the 1999 NBA Finals against the New York Knicks. When that upper level is opened up, the capacity expands from 20,000 to 34,000, and it has been opened up for this series.
Well, you know, I mean, these fans were electric to start this game, but what's happened is the execution by the Lakers has really quieted them. Now almost a sense of getting very, very nervous here, knowing that this home court that they worked so hard for to have throughout the playoffs could be taken away from them right here in the first game of this series.
Mark Matson, the rookie from Stanford, has come on for the first time for the Lakers with just under 2 minutes remaining in the third quarter. Daniels, fouled by Matson, the basket counts, and he's headed back to the line.
Well, when Shaquille sits down, there's no shot blocking, so you don't need to settle for the three-point shot. Try to get the three-point play. Nice pass out of the double team. Antonio Daniels starting to come to life here now in this second half with some nice plays. I tell you, he's expended a lot of energy today, Antonio Daniels. He's guarding Kobe. And then he's trying to score on one end. Kobe's not playing him. Kobe's guarding the point guard and doing a lot of roaming. It's Fisher who's locked into him. So Kobe has been able to save himself a little bit defensively, not Antonio Daniels.
Rose looking for the tie-up on Robert Horry. Sean Elliott now defending on Kobe Bryant. Goes right at him. Finds Matson. Shot clock at 3. Fisher. Good hustle by Rose. Johnson able to push it down. Sean Elliott wide open, wanted the ball. Daniels.
So close. You just feel San Antonio. They're trying so hard to get that big shot to go, and it just hasn't been there for them.
Kobe Bryant with the beautiful fadeaway. I don't know how you defend that.
Well, you don't. What you do is you say, you know, if you're going to make that kind of shot, we're going to be in trouble in this series. What you don't want him to do is getting to the basket. You'll live with a fadeaway that's challenged.
Well, looked like Derek Fisher hurt his left arm, but he's all right. Fox to Fisher. Fisher gets it back. Look, the Spurs stopped. They expected a foul call.
Well, you got to keep playing, and that's Greg Popovich has to be very discouraged. I mean, Fisher tries to dunk the ball, misses it, comes back, gets his miss, and there's no spur even in the play. Now, as a coach, you can't live with that.
Play to the whistle, as they say.
Absolutely.
Kobe with 15 of his 32 here in the third. Nice look away pass. Matson with the block, but it's a goaltend. The basket will count.
It just seems like that the Lakers are one step faster and they have more energy today. But watch this. The Spurs, look, they stopped here. Antonio Daniels, Malik Rose. Now, this is your energy guy. These two guys stop. And the hustle play by Derek Fisher gets the ball back. They score here. 16-point game. That will be very difficult to make up.
Final seconds of the third. Kobe stripped by Avery Johnson. Can he get it off in time? Throws with the left hand, and just came up short. After 3 here in San Antonio, it's the Lakers up by 14. Bryant and O'Neal, 22 of the Lakers' 29 points in this third quarter. Kobe with 32, Shaq with 24. We'll be back after these words from your local station. You are watching the NBA playoffs on NBC. Has done an excellent job back in his hometown. 10 of 17, 24 points. Look at the combination. Bryant and O'Neal, 56 points. Duncan and Robinson only 31.
Well, look at it. 29 shots to get 31 points. Bryant and O'Neal, 41 shots, 56, so the efficiency, they're shooting a much higher rate. But I just don't think in this series, if they're going to be outscored by 25, that they're going to be able to make that up. And here, even more discouraging right now, San Antonio has lost every quarter. Down 14 now, trying to make a run.
Horry for 3. So the ball back to the Spurs. Greg Popovich going with Avery Johnson now at the point. Antonio Daniels also in the backcourt. Tim Duncan, Malik Rose, and Sean Elliott up front. So David Robinson getting a rest as this fourth quarter gets underway. Here's Daniels for 3.
No offensive rebounds there. The San Antonio Spurs on second chance points, only 8 today. The Lakers only 9, but the difference is the Lakers shooting 51%, the Spurs only 44, so they have not been able to get any of their misses back.
Now O'Neal operating against Duncan. Good flare shot that we've seen on a couple of occasions here by Shaq, adding to the repertoire. Has not gone in, but tried it a couple of times. Sean Elliott. That's his first field goal.
Again, they so need Sean Elliott because Antonio Daniels has got to get worn down playing Kobe. Sean Elliott gets him some athleticism. Danny Ferry is an open shooter, but Sean Elliott can make some plays. He's got to be able to help them.
Kobe Bryant. 34 for Kobe. 15 of those 34 came in the third quarter, and the Lakers back to the 14-point lead. San Antonio Spurs here at home, 33-8 during the regular season, tied with Sacramento for the best home record. They've got 5-0 in the playoffs. Tim Duncan has been off with that angle shot off glass.
Credit the Laker defense. They have not allowed him to get inside and get anything easy. They've made him a jump shooter, and he's only got to the line 4 times. They have done a great job. Horry, Shaq, and Horace Grant.
Crowd looking for the travel, the up and down call on Horry. Shot clock at 1.
Oh, that is
Spurs facing a Laker team that has won their last 15 games, the last 8 of the regular season, and 7 out of 7 in the postseason. Foul on Bryant. Lakers finishing up with those 8 straight wins. Then they sweep Portland Trailblazers, rip right through Sacramento in 4.
The thing that jumped out to me, though, is they won the championship last year with rebounding and defense. And when you look at the playoffs, the last loss, Marv, you and I did that game. Kobe only played 11 minutes. But when you look at the statistics, they're +7 rebounding. They're plus almost 12-point differential, and their opponents are shooting 41%. In the regular season, the Lakers did not play good defense until about 6 weeks to go in the season when they started coinciding with this streak. So they were not the defensive team. Now Fox is in the lineup. Fisher is back. They're a much better defensive team. And now all of a sudden you put Kobe and Shaq playing their best basketball ever together. You put it all together, and that's what you're seeing now.
Kobe Bryant breaking down court on the Spurs. Only Sean Elliott was back.
That's not a shot you want with that kind of lead. Shooting 1-on-3.
The last Laker loss, April the 1st, against the Knicks at home, a 1-point loss. Duncan draws the double. Fisher able to take it away, and a frustration foul by Tim Duncan.
With San Antonio, you know that they're basically going to post up Duncan, and Lakers know exactly where he is. So look how they're swarming. They're zoning up the backside, and I cannot say enough about Derek Fisher, what he means to this team. He's given him a third scorer, but more importantly, tough defense, energy, enthusiasm. He is a key part of this turnaround.
He missed the first 62 games of the regular season, and since his return, including the playoffs, Lakers have won 22 of the last 27. Now, that's not strictly because of Derek Fisher, but he has been a vital part of the equation at both ends. Usually he was, in the past, he's thought of for his defensive play, but he's improved that jump shot. Malik Rose. And it's now a 10-point game, and Phil Jackson is upset.
That's a very good timeout because the Lakers have gotten out of character. What's been working now they've gone away from. They're taking quick shots, and they're going to allow the Spurs back into the game they've dominated.
All right, thank you, Ahmad. And the L.A. Lakers just 1 of 7 from the field in this fourth quarter, and the Spurs in the midst of a turn, an 8-2 run to cut that 16-point deficit down to 10.
Mark, the Lakers got out of character. I mean, Phil took that timeout. Kobe took a shot 1-on-3 that was contested on the break. Shaq got an offensive rebound. Instead of kicking it out and resetting, took a quick shot. That's why they're 1 for 7. When they execute, they're shooting a high percentage. They're in the lead right now. This is what they want right there.
Oh, the lob for Kobe Bryant, who now has 36 points, thrown beautifully by Robert Horry. Sometimes
when coaches take timeout, they get the point across. Great execution.
84-72, Lakers. Robinson, air ball. Brian Shaw now in the backcourt with Derek Fisher. Kobe Bryant moves up front with Robert Horry and Shaquille O'Neal. Horry lost the dribble. Avery Johnson. Put on by Derek Fisher.
Now, Avery Johnson's not a three-point shooter, so Fisher can really help and still get back to Avery Johnson.
Here's Duncan. Foul by Horry.
That's a great foul. You're going to make him now make free throws. Don't let him get the feeling of putting the ball in the basket. You come out of a timeout, no pressure on the basketball. Kobe with the reverse. And Sean Elliott got a hand there, but Kobe almost both elbows over the rim. Seems like as the game is going on, this guy's getting better and better. Marv, I don't think I've ever seen him play better.
Duncan 3 of 4 at the line.
You take a look at the Tim Duncan shot chart, and you see the greens are made. He's only got 3 shots in the lane, maybe 4 that he scored in there. So the Lakers have done a great job of pushing him out, making him a jump shooter, so they don't have to foul him. So they have done a wonderful job today. Sure, Tim's going to look at the film and figure out what they're doing. You don't become a great player in this league and an MVP candidate without knowing what you want to do against the defense, and he will adjust.
7.5 remaining in the fourth quarter. Nice pass. The block shot by Robinson. Little pass goes from Shaquille.
Okay, a 3-point shot here, and it's a 7-point game, and still a lot of time.
Shot clock down to 6. Robinson trying to squeeze his way. Not a good shot. And it's a jump ball. Robinson, Duncan, and O'Neal tying it up.
Mark, is it just me, or do you feel like that San Antonio's had 2 or 3 occasions to really put the pressure on the Lakers, and they haven't been able to come up with that one big basket, maybe just put some heat on them?
I think this is, to this point, and as you say, there's a lot of time remaining with just under 7 to go, but one of the weaker performances for the Spurs here at home. Spurs with a terrific regular season, 58-24, the NBA's best overall record. So that's home court throughout the playoffs. Bryant, and the tip on the follow.
How quickly did he get back up and tip that ball in the basket? We've seen it all from Kobe Bryant today.
38 for Kobe. week in Sacramento. Avery Johnson rejected by Kobe Bryant. He's listed at 40 minutes. Did he sit down briefly?
I think he sat out less than a minute, but that goes to a minute on the stat sheet. So he had played all but 1 minute going into the fourth period.
Coming up on 6 minutes to go in this fourth quarter. Here's Shaq. And kept alive. Good play by Shaw.
Robert Horry will shoot that three if David Robinson helps in the corner.
Out of bounds, says the official Ron Garrison. So the ball back to San Antonio, and a timeout has been called.
Well, Kobe Bryant, it's been one way or the other, either defense with a great shot block or his offense. You want to take a look at his offense? How about the second effort? Sean Elliott, great defense. He challenges the shot. But watch Kobe. His hand almost in the basket, the powerful finish. I don't think he's going to let his team lose today.
The mission is before them. Mission is before them. Who will choose to accept it?
Yes, it has been a mission impossible for the San Antonio Spurs.
Well, these two guys have put on quite a show today. The power of Shaq inside, the grace, the speed, the quickness, the ability to finish over the bigger players by Kobe Bryant, the smiles by both of these guys. And you see the numbers, 27 of 51, 62 points. The rest of the team only 96, but 62 of the 86. Now they get 90. That 90 is a big number when you start talking about the Spurs and their defense at home, because they have been almost unbeatable here at home when they have not given up 90 points.
It counts on the foul, so Tim Duncan with the bucket. And he'll go to the line. It's 21 points for Duncan.
Sean Elliott with a move inside, and one of the few offensive rebounds by the Spurs, and the finish by Tim Duncan. But again, he has struggled to be the MVP type player that we have seen in the past. But Marv always said in the game of basketball, it's not like solitaire. You're not playing out there alone. Sometimes you got to give credit to the defense, and the Lakers have done a very nice job on him today. And that's the number I was talking about. When they hold their opponents under 90, they've won 21 straight, or excuse me, they've held their opponents under 90 points in the last 21 home playoff games. That is in jeopardy today.
Last touch by Duncan. And the Spurs have tightened the defense as effective as they were during the regular season. They picked it up another couple of notches in the playoffs. Robert Horry from downtown. So that is his second three. He continues to hit three-pointers in the fourth quarter.
So he'll step out, and David Robinson doesn't want to play him out there. That was just a simple inbounds play.
Horry's done a nice job defensively, although he raises his hand indicating a foul, but Horry has done a good job on Tim Duncan. Horry, along with the 2 threes, 8 rebounds, 5 assists.
Well, he and Horace Grant have been terrific defensively. And, you know, their numbers are not what jumps out at you. It's the fact that they have taken on this task of playing against Tim Duncan, making him work, getting some help, and forcing him every single possession to get nothing easy. And that's sort of been the story of the game right now. I mean, you know, Tim Duncan is a fabulous player, but today he's had no rhythm at all.
6 of 8 at the line. Yes, the numbers will look good. You can check out the box score tomorrow, but if you did not see the game, you would not realize it's not a normal night performance.
Not those impact numbers that you would expect from him.
89-78, Lakers, under 5 remaining in the fourth. Shaq. And Porter comes away with a loose ball. Here's Daniels with Bryant Glenn. Blocking foul is called on Kobe. That's his 4th personal.
Well, once again, when you get an opportunity to run, the Spurs are trying to get out and convert. Kobe gets back and takes the foul against Antonio Daniels, so he does not get the layup. Marv, here we are once again. It's an 11-point game. If Antonio Daniels can make these 2 free throws, you're talking about 9-point game, 4:41 to go. You've already talked about the Spurs 3-point shooting. That's 3 3-point shots, and you're right back there in the game. So this game is far from being over. Phil Jackson knows that, and he does not want his team to get sloppy.
And Antonio Daniels 4-5 from the line, a 78% free throw shooter. Shaquille O'Neal 0 for 4 from the field in this fourth quarter, not taking his usual shots. He'll go to the fadeaway on the baseline.
And that's what the Spurs want. They've had really the big difference here. They've done a nice job on Shaq. They've had no answers for Kobe. That's been the killer today.
Nice pass. O'Neal finding Shaw.
One of the most underrated passers in the NBA. If you will cut to the basket, he will find you. And again, remember, when Kobe did not play in here in one of the games, he had 7 guys in double figures and 1 against the Spurs in here in the regular season.
And Duncan is fouled. Foul on Shaw.
Okay, here's Brian Shaw right here. And watch him make this cut to the basket. And watch the defense. It's got to sink. Terry Porter just really gave up on the cut. And that was a play where you have to look at Terry Porter and say, look, you got to take that guy through the lane. There was no double team. You just didn't hustle through on that play. When you're trying to catch up, you cannot give up those kind of baskets.
Tim Duncan has had the touch at the line. He's now 8 of 10. At the free throw line, as we mentioned earlier, 62% at the line in the playoffs, also during the regular season. 91-81, Lakers by 10. They've led by as many as 16 of this game one of the Western Conference Final. Horry for 3. Kept alive by Shaw. Lakers also have been on most of the loose balls.
Well, they're just one step quicker, and that's those loose balls, extra shot. Now you're going to get a new 24-second shot clock. You get a score here, it's huge.
Bryant penetrates. Kobe Bryant taking it to the rim. 40 points for Kobe, coming off the 48 last Sunday against Sacramento.
Mark, now help me here. Were there whispers that they should trade this guy a couple months ago? Are you kidding me? The guy's 22 years old. Trade Kobe Bryant and Shaquille O'Neal?
And reportedly, Kobe was so upset that he went in and asked to be traded, but it may have been in the midst of all the pot shots that were being taken.
Oh, he was frustrated. I mean, this guy really took a lot this year, from his teammates, from his coach, and he just comes back firing. I mean, this guy is incredible. Look at Magic Johnson. You think he sees some great play? Mitch Kupchak is stunned. He's stunned. And Magic said, I'm going to stretch my legs here. I haven't seen this in a long time.
43 for Kobe Bryant. Doing it from all angles. We're seeing the entire repertoire. First to the rim, and then from the perimeter, from way downtown, off the head fake over Antonio Daniels, and he's given the Lakers a 96-81 lead.
I'm just amazed at the greatness of some of these young athletes in the NBA. Now, we've seen Carter, we've seen Allen Iverson. Today, we're seeing Kobe Bryant go to work. This is the best defensive player in the league that he's playing against. Getting to the basket with speed and quickness, concentration, follow through, three-point plays. You look at his shot chart. Look at this. Look how many times he's got to the basket. Now, that's Duncan and Robinson back there, and he's been able to get it. That has been the entire difference in the game. They've done a pretty good job on Shaq. He only has 7 points in the second half. Kobe has been relentless.
And Kobe by himself has outscored the Twin Towers of Robinson and Duncan 43 to 40 as Duncan is able to hit. But Duncan has 26 points and 43 points, ties a high against the Spurs in playoff competition. Hakeem Olajuwon had a 43-point game against San Antonio back in '95. Kobe has 43 and counting with 2:45 remaining in this fourth quarter. Shot clock down to 3. Shaw had to fire one up, did not hit the rim. And the outlet is deflected out of bounds. Last touch by the Lakers. Let's check in with Jim Gray. Jim?
All right, thank you, Marv. I just spoke to Dr. Jerry Buss, who owns the Lakers, and he's owned the ball club for an awful long time now. And he just told me that he can't recall any Laker, maybe with the exception of Magic Johnson, over the course of the last month, playing at the level that Kobe Bryant is playing at. He says it's just stupefying to him and astonishing that this guy has done so well. And maybe other than Magic, he can't recall another Laker, including all of the great Lakers, Worthy, Jabbar, Cooper, Nixon, playing the way Kobe Bryant is playing. Marv?
high praise from Jerry Buss. And as you mentioned, Kobe has done this in 3 road games.
Yes.
Coming up on 2 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter, and now you have to wonder how the San Antonio Spurs will react. Losing game 1, offensive foul. Game 2 now on Monday night.
You cannot go down 0-2, and you look at David Robinson and Shaq, as he wheels in the lane, is going to get the offensive foul. Marv, they have got to win game 2. And so now the Lakers can come in here and say, look, we come in and put the clamps down like we have done, and we go up 2-0, and we could really put them in a hold. The Lakers are not going to get beat 4 out of 5 games. That's not going to happen. And they haven't lost 4 straight, so the Spurs are not going to win 4 out of 5. That's why they have got to win game 2.
Daniels spinning his way. Bullpen against Robert Horry. Spurs with 2 full timeouts and a 20 remaining. 96-87 Lakers with just under 2 to go in the fourth quarter.
You know, Robert Horry is a great luxury because he loves to play in big games, and on games when he doesn't like to play in the regular season, you can get by without him. So he's a great luxury to have. You know he loves big games.
Well, we saw that earlier in his career as a member of the Houston Rockets. Here's Porter for 3. And Kobe Bryant on the rebound. Kobe had 16 rebounds last Sunday against Sacramento. He has 9 here today. And a holding foul is called.
Terry Porter has really struggled today. He's 39 years old now, Marv. He's played so many minutes. He's such a competitor. But they have done a great job of taking him out of the game today. Danny Ferry's hit a couple shots. He has not been a factor. All that three-point shooting has been negated. And Antonio Daniels hit a couple, whatever. But that has not been a factor at all for San Antonio's success today. In fact, the Lakers have taken that away from him. That's been a big part of this game.
Antonio Daniels came on late. He has 20, which is a playoff career high. Foul is called on Tim Duncan. And Shaquille O'Neal to the line. 4 for 6 at the line. Shaq had a pretty good spurt earlier. Has been quiet in the second half. Coming into tonight, had not really been able to come up with a big game here back in his hometown.
The thing I like about what Shaq did today, though, he didn't force it. He didn't get frustrated. He didn't start trying to throw guys around. And we've seen that. When we talked to Phil Jackson before the game, he said his frustration, he's gotten offensive fouls. He's allowed it to get to him. Today, that has not been the case. He has been a great partner for Kobe Bryant today, and Kobe has been fantastic.
Kobe Bryant with 43 points. Shaq now has 26. A minute 5 remaining in the fourth quarter. And the foul is called on Rose. Goes back to his high school mentors and also Dale Brown at LSU. Under a minute remaining in the fourth. 12-point Laker lead. Here's Daniels. Rose fires from deep. It's a 3 for Malik Rose. 99-90 now, and the foul is given by Rose, so that will put Horry at the line because San Antonio is over the limit. Malik Rose hit only 3 from downtown during the regular season, 3 for 17. So Robert Horry will go to the foul line. Big day here on NBC tomorrow, starting at 2 Eastern, a special 1-hour pregame show. And then it will be Jamal Mashburn and those surprising Charlotte Hornets going up against the Bucks. 7th and deciding game, and then game 7. Vince Carter and the Raptors, Allen Iverson and the 76ers, and now controversy swirling around Vince Carter, who has decided that yes, he will attend the graduation ceremony at North Carolina and then charter his way to game 7 in Philadelphia, putting a bit of extra pressure on himself tomorrow. Timeout taken. We'll be right back. Coming up tonight here on NBC, Steven Seagal in Under Siege 2, Dark territory tonight at 9, 8 Central on NBC. Doug, that might be the theme in Philadelphia for Game 7 tomorrow.
Well, it has not been for the Lakers here today. They have once again jumped out in a series, and since this team has won a championship, they have not trailed in a series. But how would you like to be the old man of this group at 28? Look at all these young players that are throwing up spectacular playoff numbers. When the pressure's at its highest, these young guys have been at their best.
Kobe with 48 last week, 43 here today. Allen Iverson has had a 54, a 52, a 45-point game. Vince Carter had 50 earlier in the series against the 76ers.
Well, how about Baron Davis tomorrow for Charlotte's going to be on display against Ray Allen and Glenn Robinson. I mean, the list goes on, and I think that's why the commissioner is smiling, because these young guys with the bad teams are now in the playoffs. People are watching them and realizing just how great these young players really are.
Foul given by Porter. Both teams are over the foul limit. Major question in the Milwaukee-Charlotte game. Can Sam Cassell do it again, playing with the bruised ribs? Had a playoff career high the other night to lead the Bucks in a magnificent game at the Coliseum in Charlotte. Crowd was unbelievable. Same in Milwaukee in the previous game when the Hornets were able to steal one.
Well, that's the beauty of the playoffs, and it looks like you're on the edge, maybe eliminated. Milwaukee looked like they were on the ropes the other night, and they fought back, showed a lot of courage, got it back home. But you know what, Mark, you can't depend on being at home, even though it's a deciding game. I remember in '89, Atlanta had a home game against Milwaukee in a best-of-5. Milwaukee won. We beat Cleveland on the road. Two road teams broke through and moved on back-to-back on that particular day. That's the year Michael Jordan hit the big shot to beat Cleveland.
Antonio Daniels blowing the lamp. We're down to a half minute remaining in the fourth quarter. So the Lakers able to crack through on the road here against the best road team in the NBA when you extend to the playoffs. San Antonio Spurs with a record of 38-8 at home.
It's going to be interesting, all the stuff that's going to be in the newspapers now. As the Spurs, you have to be at home and you have to read the papers as Shaq finishes off emphatically with the dunk, but now you've got to read the newspapers. You've got to hear all the chatter the next couple days, and the pressure is going to be on you to even this series at 1-1.
Well, there's no question the Lakers reacting to the pressure of Game 1, to their first big test in this playoff run, as Shaq and Kobe outplay the Twin Tower combination of David Robinson and Tim Duncan. Shaquille O'Neal with 28 points. Kobe Bryant finishes with 45. Let's go over to Jim.
All right, thank you very much, Marv. 45 points for Kobe Bryant today. Kobe, why were you so undaunted going in against those Twin Towers?
I don't know. You know, it's good. We just kept trying to attack them, and we did a good job moving the ball, did a good job with our spacing, and we were able to come out with a tough win.
Have you taken your game to a higher and different level the past month?
I don't know. I think, where I've improved tremendously is making my teammates better. And I think, in turn, that has opened my individual game up so much, because now teams have to respect the threat of my teammates.
Kobe, congratulations. We'll see you in Game 6.
Thank you.
All right, Shaq. They work all year for the home court advantage, the San Antonio Spurs. You guys come in and take it in Game 1. Can a game like this take away their spirit?
Our mission was to come in here and try to get one or maybe two games, and we got the first game out of the way, and we're not going to let up. We're going to try to get the game on Monday night. And hats off to my teammates. They played well. They played great defense. They shot the ball well, and we've been on a mission these last 15, 16 games, and hopefully we can get it done.
Were you surprised at all the easy baskets that the Lakers got today?
I wasn't surprised. They got a lot of shot blockers, a lot of jumpers on the team. Kobe did an excellent job of drawing and kicking. B. Shaw, D. Fish, Rick, they did a great job of spotting up, being ready to shoot.
16 straight. 8-0 in the playoffs. You ever think you're going to lose the game again?
We're just, we're not even worried about winning or losing. We're just coming out, playing hard, playing aggressive, doing what we're supposed to do. And if we keep playing like this, then the outcome is usually we're going to win.
I don't even think your dad will criticize you tonight. He was pretty happy. Congratulations.
Yeah, every time I had problems, I would look over at him. It felt like being in high school. He was there at all my high school games here in San Antonio. So thank you, Butchie.
All right, Shaq. We'll see you later on in the series. Back to you, Marv.
All right, thanks, Jim. So Game 1 of this Western Conference Final Series decisively to the Los Angeles Lakers. Hug from Shaq's dad. As the Lakers defeat the Spurs 104-90. 16 in a row for the red-hot Los Angeles Lakers. The NBA playoffs on NBC continue tomorrow, 2 o'clock Eastern, 2 Game 7s in the East. Hornets and the Bucks, and then Vince Carter and the Raptors take on Allen Iverson and the Sixers. Coming up next, except in the West, Under Siege 2, Dark Territory. For Doug Collins and Jim Gray, I'm Marv Albert. You're watching the NBA playoffs on NBC.